All right, so I just got my first pair of the J-Tips Saucony collaborations. There's been a lot of buzz about J-Tips and Saucony in the last year or so, even sneaker of the year sort of talk. But I personally don't know who J-Tips is, and I haven't seen any of these sneakers in hand. So I want to do two parts to this video. The first part, just me giving you a raw reaction to the sneakers themselves and my overall thoughts, unbiased opinion about the shoes, since I have no correlation or affiliation with J-Tips. And then I posted on Twitter asking you guys' feedback on what I should know about J-Tips. Hopefully I'm going to get some replies over there. And after I get done looking at the shoes, I'm going to go ahead and just get into some of the details of why this shoe or this collaborator matters. The first thing is the box details are super nice. I like that you have a bunch of different color on the box. It says J-Tips on the top, has an S, I'm assuming for Saucony, with a flower, and then it says in collaboration with Saucony Originals, Savior Worldwide. This also says what's the occasion on the side of the box, and then it says buy some flowers on the side of the box with, it looks like his face inside of a flower. Kind of a cool logo that they have. Another cool detail on the bottom, looks like my daughter would have wrote some of these things. She's 5. I love that. It says J-Tips heart, and then there's a flower inspiration on the bottom as well. And it does say smell good. The box says Grid Shadow 2 is the model. I got a size 9. I'm usually a 9.5. These are going to be snug for me. But this is the colorway that I got. And I don't know what the colorway is called. Is it called Buy Some Flowers? I like that there's like a bunch of different variations of like creams and browns, kind of like the earth sort of feel. Little hits of green as well. And then you do have a little bit of a flower arc on the back with a little globe. Also, this mesh on the toe box is kind of rad. It kind of is like a dual layer. It reminds me of the Salehi Bembury 2002 Rs. Like, this definitely reminds me of that type of material. But the one thing I'll say straight out of the box is I love the mix and usage of so many different types of materials. Obviously, you have that napped suede. You have a little bit of suede underneath that in a couple different colors. The dual layered mesh thing is a super nice touch. And then it looks like synthetic leather for the 3 dots across for the Saucony logo. But then the green layer down here is also a different material. So I love the interaction of all of the different materials layered on top of each other, over top of each other. I think that that is a really nice touch. The one thing that I will say is a little bit interesting to me, and it's something that I personally love, but I don't know the inspiration behind it, and that's the flower arc on the back of the shoe. I know that's kind of his like logo sort of thing that I've seen, but it really looks like a knockoff of Murakami. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I love Murakami's flowers. Like, I have a bunch of different shirts with that from Complex Con and so on. So it kind of reminds me of that just because of that. Obviously, it's not the happy smiley face or anything. I'm coming back to add this part in, but like, what do you guys think about this type of inspiration kind of drawn from somebody else's creation? I'm not 100% sure I vibe with it or not. Honestly, it seems like he probably meant good by kind of giving a nod to the Murakami stuff, but as I'm looking further into it, like, he has like a merch brand with his like hats and stuff with the flower in his face and stuff, and it seems like he's just kind of taking inspiration from the flowers and using it for profit. Now, I don't know if it's the right thing or the wrong thing. I think that there was probably no ill intent when he's actually creating something so similar, but it just doesn't really sit well that like somebody else's creations being used. Like, I could make my own Heskix brand stuff with Murakami flowers or a rainbow flower and put my own twist to it as well, and then try to sell that. I just wouldn't feel right doing it. Also, I want to be 100% clear. I'm not trying to take away from the creativity of what he's actually created here, because as you're going to hear for the rest of the video, I give him pretty high praise, because I think that what he actually created with the color combinations and the vibrancy of his product, it stands out, and it definitely is original. So I'm not trying to say that everything he does is unoriginal, but it'd probably be nicer if like Murakami had some sort of a sign off on that. Leave a comment in the comment section. What do you guys think about this? It does say Saucony grid that is embroidered on the tongue, and then it says Savior on the back that's embroidered, and then in that same blue embroidery you have Forever down here in the front. Now, the outsole, they use a little bit of black along with that same sort of like magenta sort of reddish beet red sort of look to it, with a little earth tone in the middle as well. I probably would have done not black down here. I would have done like a darker brown personally, but it is what it is. It looks good. As you look inside the shoe, okay, so this is kind of nice too. So they did provide 2 different laces in the shoes. You could see you have that cream color and then also that like beet red color. And I like that they actually included that the way that they did. It's a nice visual representation of seeing both of the colors on the shoe, but also there's no plastic bag waste with the extra laces, which I do appreciate. Also on the bottom, it does say Saucony Grid Shadow, and then it has J-Tips autograph in the front of the shoe. This one says Wear to the Party, so maybe that's the name of this shoe. And then there is a globe on the back. Now, some of you guys are going to be like, well, why are you reviewing the shoe if you don't know anything about the guy? Like, you should be only buying the stuff if you know stuff about the shoes. And to that, I will say no. Like, it's okay to be able to buy stuff. And I'm telling this to everybody out there that doesn't know everything about everything. There should be no exclusivity club of like, you can't buy this if you don't know anything about the product. I personally think that's dumb. I don't know everything about everything, but I do like to try different things. And not that it matters, I'm not new to Saucony. I actually designed my own Saucony back in the day. 100 pairs released way back when, and this was my design. It's themed after a Technique 1200 turntable since I was DJing at the time, and really my lifestyle from DJing helped afford all the extra sneakers that I was buying at the time. So I wanted to give a nod back to the roots of DJing, since that's really what got me started in the sneaker market. Glow in the dark soles, it has some silver accents, it has some details from the platter back here where it spins around. And the colors are based off of the slip mats of the Technique 1200 turntables. So that's my theme. It has my Heskicks logo on it and everything. It was really fun to be able to design my own pair, and I was able to use like all the premium suedes that they actually have available. So I definitely thought that was fun. Now, obviously what I created, this is a very personal pair. Like obviously if you're a DJ, you might like it, or if you like my story in general, you might like those sneakers, but it's not a color palette necessarily made for everybody. I like what he did though, because his theme of colors are so crazy out of the box, but also very tastefully put together. I actually think that these look better in hand than I would have anticipated from the pictures. I think that there is a nice balance. It's not too much red, it's not too much green. The green is a really perfect accent. And then the browns, the variations of the different browns, super, super fire. I love the way he integrated that with all of the different layers of materials. Really excellent stuff. Also, there's been a lot of buzz about J-Tips and his Saucony sneakers at release. I don't think the average consumer that's been buying the shoes even can tell you what Saucony models he's been using for his shoes, but I like that he's given like a breath of fresh air to Saucony in general, the lifestyle segment, because they had a ton of different awesome pairs back in the day. Mine was the Grid 9000s, one of my favorites. Super comfortable pair, and I really enjoy that model. But the Grid Shadow 2s is really nice as well, and I love his execution and what he ended up doing here. So shout out to Talks with TJ. She left a link over to the FNAA Achievement Awards. J-Tips reveals how he proved his 12th grade English teacher wrong with help from Saucony and the FN Achievement Awards. Remember Who Fronted is the name of J-Tips award-winning Grid Azura 2000 collaboration. That was his first collab, which was probably the hottest one they had. The name he selected for the shoe serves as a reminder to keep moving forward and have faith that things will eventually fall into place. Obviously a powerful message, and I'm always rooting for the underdogs, to be honest. Jay said, "I'm here to prove that you can put pink where brands put white, and you can put purple where brands put brown, gray, and burgundy. I grew up with young parents who loved through material, who loved through making sure that I had new Jordans and Air Force Ones." He said his lifelong dream was, how do I get close to shoes? His 12th grade English teacher told me there's no future in footwear, but she was wrong. So this one must be the wear to the party colorway, and then there's a blue colorway that is actually wear to a date. Savior is his brand, and you can see that prominently on the shoes, and it was actually a name that he used to promote mixtapes at the time because he was a rapper. The craziest part to me is how he was able to create with Saucony again. Back when I did my collaboration with Saucony years ago, there was a different person in charge at the time, and he was really dope. Shout out to Bima, because he's actually the one that allowed us to create this. And I say us because there was 10 different YouTubers at the time that created their own sneakers. I was lucky enough to be one of them. After this release, there was some collabs here and there from different brands and stuff, but then they kind of went away from the collaboration market, and then we didn't really hear from Saucony for a handful of years. Trinidad James ended up doing a couple collabs for Saucony as well, but his collabs looked okay. They just weren't as out of the box. And J-Tips really had free range, as you could tell from what he created with this product. Lots and lots of different materials, something that's completely out of the box. So it sounds like the Grid Azura 2000, his first model that he worked on, was one that was not the best seller. They wanted to give him a jazz. When I was designing my own, we only had, I think, 2 or 3 different models to choose from. The Grid 9000 was one that was on the table, and they had a bunch of different collaborations with like Ubic and like extra butter. So when I had the opportunity, I definitely wanted this shoe. But I like that he chose a different model that not everybody would have been familiar with. Anyways, there's a lot more information about J-Tips and his creative outlet and stuff. Now, after reading a little bit more about him, something I find beautiful about his work is that, I mean, you think of the Bronx, New York, you think of hard times, you think of a gritty, like, sort of environment. And he mentioned in a comment, like a rose growing out of concrete. But this is like a perfect representation of like something that's beautiful, artistic, colorful, that comes out of like a kind of a grimier sort of environment. It's like a stark contrast to like the realities of his potential environment. So kudos to J-Tips for creating something that's very eye-catching from a brand that doesn't have as much brand recognition right now. I feel like he's done a tremendous job in his collaborations so far, and hopefully we'll see more from him with Saucony in the future. He's really started like this Leahy Bembury wave with Saucony, and I think that's really something special. So keep grinding, man. Keep doing your thing. If you have any more information about J-Tips or the Saucony collaboration, leave a comment in the comment section. Anyways, hopefully you guys have a good rest of the day out there. Thanks again for stopping by, and hopefully we'll see you back for some more content. All right, peace, guys.